Hello there, beautiful listeners. My name's Tommy.
Name's Aaron.
And welcome to episode 4 of the Super Pod Saga. The podcast where Aaron and I are on a journey to talk about every single video game topic in existence.
Yep, it's going so very slowly, but we'll get there. Just like the ancient Vikings did when they crossed the seas.
Yes, and settled into the great land of Minnesota.
And then proceeded to pillage other bordering states.
Yinga dinga durgan. I can say that because I'm Swedish. Today, Aaron picked the topic. What's our topic of the day, Aaron?
Today we're talking about hidden gems, which is basically just a short, cool way of saying obscure video games that we like.
Yeah, we're not talking about emeralds or rubies or diamonds. We're talking about video games, not actual gems. I just want to put that out there for anyone who might be confused.
Yeah, gems are worthless compared to these sweet gems that we've found, that we've dug up in our years, our video game careers.
Yes, I'm excited because I have... How many do you have?
I have 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, at least 8.
Okay, I have 6. I was expecting you to have more because you play more obscure stuff than me. But I've got at least 3 or 4 that I'm sure you haven't heard of, and I'm excited to talk about them. I'm sure you are excited too, so you go first.
Okay. Well, yeah, the first one is one that I've ranted to you about throughout our years of just messaging back and forth on Messenger, but that's the Etrian Odyssey series.
Mm-hmm.
But if I have to pick one game that I like the most, it would probably be Etrian Odyssey Nexus. Also, I'm not sure if it's pronounced Etrian or Etrian. I'm going to say Etrian, so don't at me, please.
I'm going to say Etrian. I think it's going to be French.
Etrian Odyssey. But no, it's great because basically what it is it's just like a dungeon crawling RPG. Basically like the original Phantasy Star or like older Megami Tensei, but yeah, you plow through dungeons in like a first person perspective.
Oh.
And what's cool
really?
is that they're all on like the DS and 3DS. So the top screen is where you'll navigate and you'll push buttons to go to this place and that. But on the bottom screen, like along the way, you'll draw your map as you go. And I mean, there's settings for it to auto draw the map, but that's stupid and dumb and lame. It defeats the purpose. Why not just draw the map with your stylus that the system gives you for free? But yeah, and you can put down little markers here and there, but there's also tons and tons of character customization as well too. So you have like 5 characters in your party. You have a front row and a back row. Front row is obviously where you want your beefy boys that are going to soak up hits or dodge hits. And back row is your like squishier fellas that throw arrows and spells and junk. But yeah, there's all sorts of crazy classes. Like they kind of like break the mold as far as classes go, because there's not just like your usual warrior and priest and mage. It's more like there's one called what is it? There's one called a sovereign, where like it's a back row one that can provide buffs to a row of your party while also healing them, and it'll cleanse them of other stuff as well too. It's great. It's such a good series. If you have a 3DS or at least a DS, they're probably climbing up there in price now since the 3DS is kind of shutting down the eShop now. But yeah, definitely check them out because they're super duper good if you enjoy like complex, like statistics based RPGs. They're super duper good.
Is this a series exclusive to the DS and 3DS, or is it on other systems too?
As far as I know, it's only on 3DS, or DS and 3DS, but there's also, like, some games that they kind of have the same, like, formula. Like, there's a couple games on the Switch that have the same formula, where navigate dungeons and the map auto draws and stuff. But this series in specific is only on DS and 3DS.
That's wild that they were like, let's make a first-person dungeon crawler on this handheld system.
I know, and it's so wild, but there's just so much you can do to it. Like you can, depending on the game, you can multi-class, and you can customize like your character portraits, pick different voices for them, and like I'm a huge goon, and like I like to come up with character backstories and like profiles and stuff. I play the game like I would with D&D. So if you're into that kind of stuff, yeah, it's super fun, super good, challenging as hell for sure, but it's worth your time.
Yeah. I'm going to start off with probably my most obscure hidden gem.
Yes.
It is a game called MLB Power Pros that came out for the Nintendo Wii and PlayStation 2 in 2007. The odds of this game existing are so wild. So the Power Pros series is a baseball. It's a simulation style baseball game, except the players look like little bobbleheads almost. And it's a game that's been published by Konami in Japan since the 1990s. It's a series that's been going on. What was that?
Also, what the hell?
Yeah, it's been going for like 3 decades now in Japan. And they decided to make an American version in 2007 for the Nintendo Wii, which, as you know, is the motion control system, but it had 0 motion controls in it. It was all simulation. And when you look at it, it looks like a kid's game because they're like they're like a mix between Rayman and bobbleheads, like they have feet but no legs, and it's very cartoony. But the game itself is actually insanely deep. Like, it is the deepest baseball game you can probably find on consoles. Like,
even deeper than the show?
Yeah, I'd say so, because you specify like all the trainings and stuff that people do, and there's tons of it was too in depth for me almost, because it's just so much to do. Like in the show, the focus is on actually playing the game and like doing the hitting, the pitching, the running. That is like exquisite. And in MLB Power Pros, there's a bunch of behind the scenes stuff where you like decide what player trains and what. And they have all these links, like if they train with a similar player, a different player, they get boosts, and just mind blowing that they were like, let's take this Japanese only series, put Major League players in it, and release it on the Wii and PlayStation 2. And they had one more that came out in 2008, and then they had a mobile version in 2010, and that was it. It was not very successful at all. It definitely did not catch on. But it's just such a hard sell, like a Nintendo Wii baseball game with no motion controls that is insanely in depth. But I really appreciate it for what it tried to do, and I wish it would have caught on more.
Yeah, it's so wild to me that that baseball is so popular in Japan, being an American sport. But that's still super cool though. I love that's cool.
I know you don't care, but I love Japanese baseball because their style is totally different. Where Major League American baseball is all about power and hitting home runs. Japanese baseball is like slapping at the ball and just trying to hit it anywhere in the field and run really fast. And there's a new thing called the World Baseball Classic, newish, that's like the World Cup but for baseball, and Japan won the first 2, even though this is America's sport. And,
no way.
Yeah, Japan won the first 2, the Dominican Republic won the 3rd, and the U.S. didn't win until the last one, which was like 3 years ago. Japan is very good at baseball.
Dude, oh my gosh. Why is Japan, like, I love, or I like the USA. It's cool. Obviously, I'm from here. But, like, Japan is so much better. Like,
yeah. My dream is to go to a Japanese League baseball game sometime.
You just see them slapping the ball with their bare hands and just sprinting out there like gazelle.
I had to show you. Did I send you the guy? There was a new manager this year in the Japanese League, and did I tell you about this? The Metal Gear Solid connection to it?
I think you did, but I mean, yeah, you can go on about it
He
again.
they have to fill out a form every year for like, hey, I'm going to play in the league. Here's my information and stuff. And there was no rule like where you put your name. There was no rule that said you had to put your legal name. So he put his name as
Oh yeah.
Big Boss from the Metal Gear Solid series, and the league was like, "Cool, do it. Your name's Big Boss from now on." So on his jersey it says Big Boss, and he dresses like he's from Metal Gear Solid. It's super cool.
Oh my gosh. Does he have like all sorts of camo and stuff?
Yeah, sunglasses, camo.
Yes. Oh, it's so cool. God, they are so much better than us. We have these stupid jerseys and like I'm
Oh my
sorry to
gosh.
people I'm
No.
sorry to people who are like who love American baseball, but that just sounds so much. I would want to be like, what, some goofy name like the Trash Man who's running around the field as the Trash Man.
American
Nice catch by
baseball
the.
American baseball takes itself so overly seriously. There are unwritten rules which you cannot break or you will be shunned. Like if you don't have a hit yet and you try to bunt it by like just tapping the ball where there's no fielder, the next time you come up they'll throw a pitch at you, like a 90-mile-an-hour fastball to the head to be like, "How dare you?"
Really?
Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
man.
It's frustrating.
Up next on the baseball podcast, we have one that I really love, and it's an absolute crime that it's not more popular because it's super super good. Is Sushi Striker.
Mm.
Um, oh my gosh. This one's on both the 3DS and the Switch. But
It's
the
on
3DS
3DS.
version, yeah, it's if you enjoy like everything on one screen while also using your finger to like connect shit, the Switch version is but the 3DS version I feel like is like way more precise. But um, so basically what it is it's like a puzzle RPG pretty much. Um, but like what you do in it is so like there's uh combat sequences, which are basically where you do the puzzle stuff, and you basically connect. There will be basically the whole combat thing is like these little conveyor belts with sushi on them, and there'll be different colored plates with different, I guess, kinds of sushi on them. And basically, what you do is you use your stylus or finger, depending on what system you're playing on, and you have to link different colors of plates together, and then of course you'll make a stack of those plates, and you'll throw those stacks of plates to attack. But it's just unreasonably deep because there's different layers to it. So like different colors of plates do different amounts of damage, and then if you chain together 7 or more plates, you'll spawn a glowing plate. If you have a glowing plate in there, that plate itself does an extra 20% damage. And then if you chain together like the same color of plates, you'll do more damage. If you're in Jubilee mode, you'll do more damage. There's just so much goofy garbage about this game, but it's also great because there's like anime style cutscenes. There's just like a really like unreasonable amount of depth to the combat because like there's just a bajillion things that can like I guess determine how much damage you do with your attacks because like um different colors of plates have different I guess do different amounts of damage. Like there's higher grade colors that do more damage than other colors. And then if you link or I guess the number of plates also in a stack will also determine how much damage you do. But then if you link together 7 or more plates, it'll spawn a glowing plate, and that glowing plate also deals more damage. Um, oh man, and then there's just a ton of other stuff I could just keep going on and on about. But yeah, then there's like a Pokemon kind of element to it with these things called sushi
Oh.
sprites, and as you battle, they'll level up. But what they do is they give you more defense, and they have different skills that you can activate during battle. Like some will be like, all the plates that are out right now are one color, so you can link them all together, or like add 3 to whatever you just linked, or there's all sorts of cool stuff. But um, it's just it should be a crime that it's so overlooked because it's so good.
I'm
It's like
surprised. I'm surprised because that game is developed and published by Nintendo themselves, and it's kind of like they just forgot about it.
and what's also weird is like at first they were like, oh, it's going to be on the 3DS only, and then like maybe a month or two before it was released, they were like, oh, but it's also going to be on Switch.
Yeah,
But
that's
yeah,
super weird too.
it's just it's a crime. It's so good. Please check it out if you like puzzle games and like I guess RPGs too. But it's mostly a puzzle game, but it's really good.
Yeah. I'm gonna keep rolling on the Nintendo train. I'm not sure if this counts as a hidden gem because it came out. Let's see. No, I was 4 years old when it came out, so I don't remember the reception to it or anything. But I feel like it's a game that no one knows about, and I'm going to tell you about Kirby's Dream Course. It
Oh, yep,
it
I know that.
it is. It's so hard to describe. It's almost like a golf game but you play as Kirby, the little pink puffball, you know. And I'm saying it as a hidden gem because it is one of the most fun multiplayer games I've ever played. It has an almost obscene amount of depth and mechanics to it. So there's like, I want to say 8 quote unquote holes per area, stage or whatever. And you start on like a plane. It's like a square or a diamond plane with enemies and uh,
Heck,
different grounds and stuff. Like there's water or sand or whatever. And what you want to do is you have your setup like you have a dotted line showing where Kirby's going to go, and you can aim all over the place. You can put curvature. You can put air under you so that you bounce. There's tons of stuff with that, and you and your opponent have to touch every enemy on the stage. And when you touch an enemy, you get 1 star. They turn into a floating star. And while that floating star is there, your enemy can touch that star and it changes to their color. And you want to get the most stars. And the last enemy turns into a hole. And if you go into that hole, you get 2 stars. So it's this back and forth battle of trying to knock out enemies, but also trying to steal stars from your opponent because they're just sitting on the stage. And Kirby's special thing is he can take over enemies' powers, and that happens in this game too. When you touch an enemy, you gain their power, which could be like he turns into a rock, or he turns into a tornado and can go around the place, or he can jump really high, or he can use an umbrella when he falls. There's tons of different ones. So you got to plan out which enemy you want to get when, so that you can use your superpower to stop your opponent from getting more stars. And it's just so much fun. It is tons of fun. I had played it with a friend and we just played over and over again, and it's a game that I don't think people remember because it came out for the Super Nintendo and it's a Kirby golf themed game. But it's wonderful. It's a wonderful, wonderful game.
is that on the Switch Online SNES
Yes,
thing?
yes, it is. It 100% is.
Oh,
But
I'm gonna check that right after
it's
this.
I don't know if I'd recommend single player because it's not as fun as playing against an opponent because you're and there's even like a stamina thing. Like if you take 7 shots, Kirby falls asleep, and so your opponent gets 2 turns. And you can hit your opponent to make their stamina go down. So there's that part in play too. There's just so many things to keep track of. And at the end of the day, you're trying to aim your shots just perfectly to go around stuff and go into stuff, and it's so fun.
It's so weird how like versatile Kirby is, or I guess like it's probably just the minds behind it, but like because there's also like Kirby Air Ride. Did you ever play that? The racing game for the GameCube?
No, I did not play the Kirby racing game.
Oh, that was so good too. Oh my gosh. So like you know how he has this like little warp star thing that he rides around
Yeah,
on?
yeah, yeah.
There were different types of stars that do different things. Like there was like the slippery star that was like hard to control, but it was super quick. There was like the Formula Star that has like the highest top speed, but like it has just ass for like handling.
It's
Um,
got ass.
Oh my god, that was such a cool game.
I had the only Kirby game I've ever owned was Kirby Tilt and Tumble for the Game Boy Color. It it had a motion sensor in it, and
Oh yeah.
you didn't use any button. You just tilted the Game Boy around, and he would roll throughout the levels, and you'd have to like flip it up to make him jump over gaps and stuff. It was really difficult for child me, but that was the only Kirby game I've ever owned.
They've done so much with that little guy.
Yeah,
It's insane.
they have the side scrolling Monster Hunter type game where you could play with
Oh
friends.
yeah.
That was so bizarre. I had fun with that for the
It was.
hour I played of it.
It was cool because what is it? There was like a warrior,
Yeah, there's different
doctor,
classes.
like mage, and like that was kind of cool. Um, but yeah, so my next one is another another puzzle game because like they're just hard to not love. Uh, but you've heard me talk about Grindstone before.
Oh, I
You
love
know?
Grindstone.
Yeah. Like nobody ever talks about this game, but it's super fun because like is what is it? So um you chain together creeps of the same color, and then depending on how many you chain together, you'll spawn like a grind stone that basically acts as like a wild card. You can like chain through this color of creeps, hit a stone, and then you chain through a different color, and then you just and there's like different weapons and like shields and costumes you can unlock that change the like kind of change what you can do out there in the field. Um, and then there's other things that further add to that depth too. Like there's these like you can equip food to your lunchbox, and it'll be like oh, spawn some fucking barbecue ribs that you can chain through that act as like any color, and like when you chain through some ribs, it breaks off into like smaller pieces of ribs. Um, and like it's so fun. The music is super chill. Um, I have like a whole playlist of like the entire soundtrack on YouTube Music saved because it's so freaking good. And then the visuals are super cool because it's like regular show slash adventure timey kind of.
Oh, that's a good way to
Uh,
describe it.
yeah. Oh my gosh, it's so good. It's only like maybe $15, but 15 or $20. But if you like puzzle games slash action games, because you also like chop through enemies and you can bust them apart into like little cubes of meat and blood kind of because it's all pink. But oh
It's
my gosh, it's so good, and there's so many levels. Oh my god, it's so
it's
good.
free if you want to subscribe to Apple Arcade. That's how I played it when I had an iPhone.
Yeah.
And for me, I think what makes that game so good is it's definitely a puzzle game, but it's just fun. It's fun in a way that other puzzle games aren't, because other puzzle games are just like match the colored cubes and they disappear. And this one, you're a warrior surrounded by enemies, and you have to find a way to the instead of colored blocks, it's like colored enemies, and it's just really satisfying to like look at it and see like the lines in your head being drawn where I'm like, I'm gonna go slaughter these enemies and then I'm gonna go back here through these enemies. And I like that you can, once you reach your goal, you can keep going through the level to try and collect more stuff, but it's more dangerous to do so, obviously. But that's another nice touch. Like other puzzle games are like, you get to this goal and the level ends, but here it's like you can keep pushing yourself to try and get further, or you can go to the door and go to the next one.
Exactly. And there's different obstacles that they keep like bringing into with each different like area that you move on to. So it'll be like 10 stages and you move on to the next area. But like this one like jungle area has little pools of acid that you take damage, if you end your turn there, or like there's these like vine monsters that continuously grow each turn, and with each extra limb that they grow, it'll take it'll take more damage basically to kill it. Um, oh my gosh, and there's just so much. There's a ton of depth to that game, and they keep updating it too with free stuff. Like you pay for the game once, and you keep getting just constant updates with new content, and it's
Yeah.
just so great.
You
It's
can
so
tell
good.
that the developers love and understand puzzle games. Just there's a ton of love and care that went into it. It's really good.
Oh my gosh, and please check out that fucking soundtrack too. Oh, it's so chill, especially when you're in the what is it? When you're at the pub, when you're sitting like where you drink to refill your health. I could just leave that on and just chill out, just vibe out for hours. It's so sweet.
I'm gonna be honest. I'm decently confident that since I played it on iPhone, I played it with the sound off. I I can't hear in my head any music from when I was playing it.
Oh my gosh, I'll send you a link to some of the songs that
Yes,
I have on
I'll
music.
listen to them when I go back to door dashing later today.
Oh
Um,
man.
I have a game. Speaking of games in genres that you can tell they understand and care about it. I've been trying to fill the empty Guitar Hero hole in my heart for years and years. Oh, okay. Remind me to go back to Guitar Hero when I'm done talking about the game.
Yeah.
The closest I've come to filling that rhythm game hole is a game called Spin Rhythm, which is available exclusively on Steam, which is kind of wild. Have you heard of Spin Rhythm?
Not at all. No.
Okay. It's very hard to explain how it works. It's only a two-button game. You use the space bar and the left click, and you move the mouse around too. So on the bottom of the screen, instead of it being four buttons, it's like a wheel that alternates between red and blue colors. You can only have four at a time on the screen at a time, so it's like red, blue, red, blue. But when you move the mouse left and right, it spins that wheel. Like not fast, but like normal amount. And the it's got a track coming towards you like Guitar Hero, and it's got green lines across, which are the space bar. So when that comes, you just hit the space bar, and that's like the bass usually for the songs. And then it's got red or blue dots, which are not lined up like the buttons on a Guitar Hero track. They can kind of move around wherever, and you click the left mouse along with that. Or there are sections where it shows like a left or a right arrows, and that's where you click and spin. That's where the spin and the spin rhythm comes from. And it's very hard to describe in words. I recommend looking up a video, but it gets you into a rhythm unlike anything I've ever seen. You'll be like spinning and tapping along and moving the wheel to match the notes, and it's just you get into the flow state, which you really like to do in music games. It feels like you're actually
Oh yeah.
spinning along to the music. What were you gonna
I just said, oh yeah.
say? Oh yeah. The only complaint I have is most of the music is electronic music that I don't listen to. There's no other
Oh,
genres. It's only electronic beat like music, which is it's fine. It fits the style they're going for. But I like my rock music.
right. Oh yeah. Remember? Oh man. Okay. Not to get us off track again. I guess that's our whole spiel is us getting off track. But
Yeah.
remember in high school when we were supposed to do like term papers and we both did it on the history of metal?
Yeah, I know exactly. Yeah, 100%.
Oh yeah. Yep. I know all about
We
that.
we both we both did our term papers, our end of semester papers on the history of heavy metal, and I remember the teacher. We had to give an oral presentation, and the teacher asked if anyone wanted to volunteer, and I was like, I'm going to look. I hate giving speeches. That is my least favorite thing in the world. It always has been, always will be. And so I was like,
Yeah.
no matter what, I don't want to go first. And so I was like, I'm going to look at her dead in the eye and look confident because she's going to pick someone who's like looking away and doesn't want to go. And I'm going to look confident. And she was like, Tommy, you should know never to look at the teacher when they ask for volunteers. You can go first. And I was like, what the fuck?
Oh man. Yeah. The speeches suck. I mean, now that I'm 31 the hell years old, it's like a little bit easier for me, but still, like, if it was in front of millions of people, I'd just be like, no, no,
I'm
I'm sitting that shit out.
I'm
That
still
shit's been
mad.
burned.
It's still a nightmare.
Yeah.
I remember, okay, so Wikipedia did me dirty. I remember one of the things I said in my article, in my speech, was I was going to talk about the number of different members of a band because you can have like your power trio of bass, guitar, drums, or whatever. And I remember
Right.
putting in there, I read on Wikipedia that Queens of the Stone Age had 50 plus members in the band. And that is 100% not true. Like,
Like they might have had.
I know they've
Was it
had...
accounting
Sorry, go on.
members? No, I'm sorry. I mean, was it counting like former members or something?
I don't know. I just remember saying that and being like, wow, that's a lot of people. Because I didn't actually listen to Queens of the Stone Age back then. Because I remember they were described as stoner rock. And I was like, weed? No. They can't. Weed is bad.
I'm in high school. I can't.
I know, exactly. And I love Queens of the Stone Age now. They're definitely one of my favorite bands. But they don't have 50 members. They maybe worked with 50 people throughout their time, but not... I wouldn't say they've had 50 direct members. I want to...
That reminds me.
Yeah, go.
Sorry, go. All right, I was gonna say this isn't related to this at all, but it's more like a metal thing. But did you know that they have a Smite, or in Smite they have a Slipknot event where you can get different Slipknot skins for different characters like Poseidon, Chalk, and I forget the other one, but it's so odd. It's so...
I didn't know that that's how it worked. I saw that it was a thing, and I just assumed that Slipknot was going to be a character option. But that's even more weird that they're skins for already existing characters.
And what's even weirder about it too is it's like there's only 3 characters that have Slipknot skins, but there's 3 skins for each character. So like for Chuck, there's 3 skins. For Poseidon, there's 3 skins.
Oh.
And I still forget who the hell the other one was that got Slipknot skins, but it's just the weirdest goddamn thing. It's cool.
Have they said if like members of Slipknot play Smite or?
I don't think they do.
How did those sides even come together then?
Smite's done some pretty cool crossovers so far. Like they had they had Ninja Turtles.
Yep.
Stranger Things.
Oh yeah.
I forget the other ones. Avatar. Yeah.
Smite's been around for a long time, but it feels like only recently they started doing these wild skins. Or unless I'm wrong.
Yeah. No, they only started doing crossovers. I think maybe 3 years ago, 3 or 4 years ago.
I have to go back to Guitar Hero before I forget.
That's
so. Guitar Hero was always the 5 buttons, the red, blue, green, orange, whatever the 5th one was. I'm missing one. But did you ever see or play the most recent one, Guitar Hero Live?
No, I did not.
They completely changed the guitar buttons in what I think was the worst way imaginable. Instead of 1 row of 5, it was 2 rows of 3, and the bottom or top was white and the other side was black. So it was 3 black buttons, 3 white buttons on top of each other.
That's weird.
I tried playing it in a GameStop on like the easiest well, I tried playing on expert because I'm very good at Guitar Hero first, and I couldn't do it. I dropped it down to medium and I couldn't do it. I could not read the tracks, the buttons or whatever. I could not figure out how to... They wanted to do it so it could feel more like you're playing chords, and you could technically go up and down 6 notes instead of 5, but I hated it. I don't know why you would take like something that's been the same for 10, 15 years and change it completely. And that killed Guitar Hero once and for all too.
Dude, yeah. It hit it. I feel like it really hit its peak with maybe Guitar Hero 3, but
yeah.
Man, like I didn't play a lot of the ones that were based on bands, like I played a little bit of Metallica, but like that was it.
I played a butt ton of Metallica. That was probably my favorite just for the challenge aspect of it because I loved playing on expert and challenging myself. I remember when Guitar Hero 1 and 2, I never really played those that much, but they had a lot of covers of artists because they couldn't get the actual artists. And then Guitar Hero 3 also had covers. And then it just switched because it became super popular. And I remember people, when they announced Guitar Hero Metallica, everyone was like, well, it's going to have to be all covers because there's no way Metallica would give the rights to their songs. And it was 0 covers. It was all Metallica. And like, I don't think they had covers again after Guitar Hero 3. Really, it was just really cool how they blew up in popularity like that.
They need to bring that back. God damn it.
Bring it back? Rock Band 4 still releasing songs every week.
Oh, that's true. How haven't they run out of songs? Well, I guess there's like a billion songs, but
hold on, we're we're going to do our weekly Rock Band update. On June 2nd, you can now play Devil's Haircut, Saw Lightning, and Sex Laws from Beck. Those are the three
I've never heard of any of
newest
those.
songs.
That's a true lot.
That's your Rock Band update for June 2022.
Well, all right.
Let's get back to hidden gems. What
All
do
right.
you have?
I think it was on me now, right? Because you did
Yep.
the spin rhythm.
Spin rhythm.
All right. So this next one, it's another 3DS game because that console just has so many games that nobody talks about that are just so fucking good. I guess I've played too much on the 3DS anyway, but it's so fucking good. But Pocket Card Jockey, oh my god, have you ever played that?
That's made by someone I know.
It's made by Game Freak.
Yeah, that's the ones.
That's the one. You know them, you love them, the Pokemon guys. But so Pocket Card Jockey it's so extremely addictive because basically what it is, it's like horse racing plus solitaire. So basically, it's the story I forget. You just do races because you're dead and you come back to life or something crazy. But basically, so your horse will compete in races like around this track, and in order to determine like how well the race goes, you'll play different games of solitaire. And if you have cards left on the table after time runs out, that'll affect your horse's attitude, which determines like how well it does on the home stretch or something like that. But solitaire on its own is already pretty fun. Maybe it's just because I'm 31 years old that I enjoy me some solitaire every now and again. But no, and then there's like kind of like Pokemon-ish aspects to it. You can kind of tell where Game Freak came in with that. Yeah, you can. After a horse reaches a certain age, you'll put them in what's called the farm, and you can have them breed with other horses. And of course, that'll determine like their stats because they'll level up after races and stuff and learn different skills. Yeah, you can breed with other horses, make different like breeds that have different stats, different skills. And oh my god, and there's different like there's items you can buy for races that make things easier. It's so much fun. Again, if you have a 3DS and you have maybe like $10 or whatever the hell it is, buy it. Like I don't think you can pay the credit card through the 3DS eShop on the 3DS itself anymore, but you can go to the website and do it. But
I was gonna say that's gonna be hard to do now.
Yeah. Like,
I have to point out some weird things that I just read about this game.
Yes.
So, two things. One, it was released in Japan in 2013, but didn't come to America, Europe, the others until 2016. Also,
yeah.
It was released for iOS and Android in Japan only in November 2014, but this version shut down December 2015. What? A mobile only game for a year. Here's fun. So when you pick your jockey, you can be male or female, and it changes the story based on that. I'm just going to read directly from Wikipedia. Yeah, are you ready for this? The male jockey wants to one day take over his father's orange farm. Okay. The female jockey wants to one day get married and have kids.
Oh my gosh. Game Freak, no.
Every man's dream, take over a business. Every woman's dream, get married and have kids.
Oh my god. I mean, oranges are pretty high in vitamin C, I guess. That's probably a pretty good business.
Ooh, that made me chuckle.
Oh man. But yeah, that's about all I had for Pocket Card Jockey, though. It's really good. Please buy it and play it, and I mean, talk to me about it if you want. Yeah.
Speaking of games that make me chuckle, gosh, I just love transitions. Heave Ho. Heave Ho is
I've heard of that.
the most fun multiplayer game I played in a long time. I'm just double checking to see what systems it's on real quick. It's for sure on Switch. That's what I play it on. Switch and Steam.
Is it really?
That's it. Switch and Steam.
Is it even better than Overcooked?
Yeah, Overcooked makes me mad at the people I'm playing with. Heave Ho is fun.
Oh,
Uh,
I
and
get, I
and
get so mad at people in Overcooked. Sorry, go ahead.
I actually I played Overcooked with my wife and brother-in-law, and that was a disaster. We all were mad and hated each other. We literally stopped playing it. And then I played it with brother-in-law and two friends of ours who are also brothers, and they played the game as if we were in an actual restaurant and
Yep,
gave everyone their duties, and
that's what I do.
we had backup duties and stuff, and that made it run smoothly, but it wasn't fun. It just felt like we were working. But
Yeah,
he,
we
yeah, go on.
yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
No, no,
No,
you.
no, go ahead. I don't want to talk about Overcooked anymore. 'Cause it makes me so fucking mad. Go
Okay, that's
ahead.
fair. Heave Ho makes me feel happy. It's
Yeah.
up to 4 players. Each of you are like this little bean head with long arms that stick out and hands, and the left stick controls where your hands are aiming around your head, and the left and right triggers squeeze your hands to grab onto things or other people. And it's just like an obstacle course from left to right or up to down, and you and the 3 people have to work together to get to the finish line. And it's just super, super duper fun, trying to grab people and swing them and catch them on the other side of gaps, or to go over spikes, and it's just chaos happens. I've never it's I've never not had fun playing it, and everyone I introduce it to just instantly has fun because the controls are easy to understand, the goals are easy to understand. The only negative I have to say about it is the later levels up the challenge way too hard, way too fast. It goes from being super fun and having a fun time to being difficult, and that's not what you want with playing video games with friends. But those first few levels are an absolute joy and so fun. And it's got a bunch of indie game skins. You can be the Hyper Light Drifter or the Fall Guy, which was a surprise to me, but just super fun. And it just reminded me of another game I got to look up real quick. So you should talk about something.
That's fine. Oh my god, it's so. When you were talking about how the later levels ramp up the challenge and make it not fun, that it sounds exactly like Overcooked again because
Yeah.
they. Oh my. So I guess I'll rant about it here for a moment while you look that up. So me, or myself, my wife, her sister, and her brother, we all played it together, and we delegated roles and stuff, and I get just so fucking worked up over that game. One missed order, and I freak out, and I lash out. I'm like, Corey, like that's her sister's name. I'm like, Corey, like please deliver that food, run the food. Fuck, I gotta wash. There's so many dishes. What a stressful game. It really does feel like work. Like, ugh.
Did you ever get to the last level of the first game?
Um, no, I
It
got too stressed out about it.
it's I oh man. How do I want to F it. No one's going to listen to this that it matters. I played it with my ex and we we got to the last level, and it is the timer for it is legit. I want to say 10 minutes. And it's there's asteroids raining down from the sky, so things get set on fire. There's nothing you can do to stop things from setting on fire, and it's a 10-minute level, so you don't know if you won or lost until the full 10 minutes. It's a nightmare, an absolute nightmare.
Ew. Yeah, I'd rather throw up for an entire day.
I disagree, but well, I guess if I had to play it with my ex or throw up for an entire day, I'd pick throwing up for an entire day.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Okay, yeah. What was that game you were looking up anyway?
I'll say it later because it's a hidden gem.
Oh, okay. Okay. So my next hidden gem, I think I'm pretty sure I've ranted about it's again another series I talk about all the time. I'm pretty sure I talked about it in the last one, but it's Steam World Heist. And it's just nobody talks about these fucking games, and it should be a crime. It should be a legal crime. get out there and talk about the Steam World series, please, because they're so good. Um, but Steam World Heist, if you haven't played it, you should. It's based. If you like XCOM, go play the fucking
Oh, I
game.
love
It's probably
XCOM.
on sale. It's always on sale probably because nobody buys them because people are crazy. But I'm getting all heated again. So it's basically like 2D XCOM. So and there's different characters that join your band of space pirates, and each of them are kind of like adept at different things, which makes them feel more and more like individuals, which is super cool. Like rather than having, faceless soldiers that you can just meld into whatever you want, like XCOM. Um, each of the different characters really like talks and behaves and acts like an individual. Like one of my favorites is Billy. He's this like uh, steambot who lost his memories, and he looks like and behaves like a fish. Um, and he's best at close combat. So if you give him like some spiky brass knuckles or something, he does a lot of melee damage, and he doesn't talk. He just says like blub and stuff like that. But uh, anyway, what makes it so great is that rather than so if you played XCOM, you'll get what I'm talking about. What I hate about I like XCOM, but what I hate is like when you're right in an alien's fucking face, you have a 90% chance to hit it. Again, you're right in its face, 90% chance to hit, and you still miss. You still miss your
Yes.
shot. It's like right there.
The
I hate that.
animation is the worst part because they're standing there face to face with their gun right in their face, and the bullets just miss. And you're like, what?
Yeah, it's right there. I could throw a quarter from my pocket at it and hit it so easily, but whatever. But what makes SteamWorld Heist so different is it's more based on skill than it is like luck or percentages, because you can basically control the trajectory of your of your guns and stuff. So like there's grenade launchers that of course have like an arcing projectile that shoots out of it. You'll have to aim your gun in like a specific way, and you can like bounce the projectile off of like walls or something. Um, like pistols and stuff, usually they'll have like a laser sight, and you can see like where the bullet is going to bounce off of like different areas and eventually hit the enemy. Um, and it's super good. I've played it at least like twice through now because it's just so great. I have it on the Switch, I have it on the 3DS. I think it's also on PS4. Um, but it's just great. It's such a good game, and I feel like if you like turn-based strategy games, you'll really love that.
I do love turn-based strategy games. It surprises me because you say that like no one's buying the SteamWorld games, but they must be selling enough to be continuing to make them, and they've got like 3 more that they're developing right now. So I agree, it's definitely a hidden gem. It's just a weird one that it's like popular enough for them to keep making it, but not popular enough because I don't. You're the only person I know that has heard of it. Like if I go to public and say, "You guys see the new SteamWorld game?" They're gonna be like, "What?"
No, yeah, you had to get that news directly from me. God damn it.
Yeah, exactly.
I I mean, I'm sure they probably do sell pretty well, but yeah, not a lot of people have really heard of them because like you'll go up to somebody and ask like, hey, what's your favorite SteamWorld game? They'll be like, Steam who? And yeah, it should be a crime.
If I ever go into government, I'll make it a crime.
Oh my gosh, you should.
That'll be my first order of business.
Y'all must play a goddamn SteamWorld game or go to prison.
I've been trying to think of a transition into this game, but I can't think of it. They're just too different. A game I'm going to talk about is Binary Domain,
Oh,
which
I've seen this.
this is such a bizarre game. So I played this back in 2012 when it came out on PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360. I played it on PlayStation 3, and like a year or so ago, I learned that it was made by the Yakuza developers, which is insanely mind-blowing to me because I had never heard of Yakuza back in 2012. I just saw this. I don't even know how I have no idea why I played Binary Domain, but I did. It's a Gears of War like. It's a third-person shooter where the world, global warming destroyed everything, and there's robots everywhere, and you go through the story. Really weirdly, you could put on a headset and give voice commands to your people, your party members or whatever, and you could be like,
That's right.
go attack this person, or go over there, and it had a really good story. It was like in the Mass Effect era where your choices matter, and the ending of the game and everyone's opinion of you changed based on the choices that you made throughout the game, which was neat to have in a third-person shooter. And the voice thing was neat, and it was really good looking for the time. Like, shooting the robots would cause parts to fly everywhere. There's a lot of good action sequences, and it's surprising. According to Wikipedia, it sold 20,000 copies in North America. Only
That's it?
20,000. So definitely a lot of people didn't play it, and they left the story on like a cliffhanger or an opening to a sequel, which never happened. And it's just so wild because, like, the Yakuza devs now, the Yakuza series is huge, and they are incredible at making games. And it's just so bizarre that in 2012 they made a third-person shooter with voice commands. But it was good. It was good. It was a really good game.
That is a shame. I remember watching. I watched the YouTube channel Funhouse play that, and I remember them trying to get like the voice commands to work. It was just so much fun because they were John, or generally it wouldn't pick up the voice commands.
Yeah.
They just calibrate it.
Yeah, I tried early on and gave up on it because you can also just use buttons to issue commands, and wouldn't you know it, buttons work better than voice.
Oh yeah, I believe that. Oh man. Speaking of commands, I'm really bad at transitions. Yeah, so have you ever played a custom robo game before?
No, I've heard of it though.
Oh my boy. Oh man. So,
Are these Gundams?
so kind of Gundam, more like, but no, they have. There's technically like 4 games in the series. There were 2 on the N64 that only came out in Japan because the OS sucks. Because, yes, fuck us. But then we got one on the GameCube, and then later on one on the DS. But the GameCube one is the first one I played. Basically what it is like, it's kind of like your usual like Saturday morning like cartoon kind of anime kind of thing, where like, here's your main character, and then you go fight battles to save people, and there's this main bad guy, and like, what was cool about it was that like the name suggests, you get to customize your robot, and there's different like parts that affect, I guess, how your guy fights. So like, there are different legs that affect how he jumps, if he has like a hover, how fast he runs, stuff like that. I shouldn't say it. There's different guns that have different like firing patterns. Like there's like a dragon arm thing that like shoots fireballs. There's like a gun that'll shoot in like a 3-way kind of like V pattern almost. There's just all sorts of different customization options. And then when I first played that as a kid, I was like, dude, this is so badass. This is so freaking cool. And then I got it as an adult, and it's still cool, but like I can see why not a lot of people liked it. But I mean, it's still fun. But the DS version, like the DS game that came out, like it's called Custom Robo Arena, that one's still pretty good. And then they just kind of abandoned the series, which is it should also be a crime, because I feel like it'd be perfect for being like an online Switch game. Customize robot, beat up kids online, and take their lunch money. I don't see why it's not a thing yet.
I'm going to interject with my weird release data for this game, because this is a really weird one. I sent you a link in Facebook Messenger, but I'm going to talk about it now. The first one came out in Japan on the Nintendo 64 in 1999. In 2006, the first one came out in China on the iQ Player. Have you ever heard of the console called the iQ Player?
Never.
Me either. It was a Nintendo 64-like for only the Chinese market. It's got a weird controller. I've never heard of this. Its lifespan was 2003 to 2016.
What? Holy shit.
This is bizarre.
The iQ Player. The little controller you sent me reminds me, it's like a mix of the N64 with like, what was that one? The original Xbox controller? The like,
Yeah,
what do they call it?
The Duke.
Big Warrior? The Duke, that's what it was, yeah.
Oh man, that really looks like the Duke, yeah.
Yeah.
Its Chinese name for the iQ Player translates to Divine Gaming Machine.
Oh, hell yeah.
You guys get the new Divine Gaming Machine? Weird. We're gonna have to talk. We're gonna have to talk more about that on Facebook.
We really do. That's so wild. But yeah, it's before we go on to yours, I should say that the custom Robo, one on GameCube is good, one on DS is good. No other games have come out, but there's a game that's really similar to it on 3DS called oh my gosh. Sorry, I looked away at something else. It's Little Battler's Experience on the 3DS. Another one that is overlooked, but it's almost scratches that custom Robo-ish. It's so good. Yes, please go.
Okay, I'm going to talk about another multiplayer game that more people need to play, and it is Tricky Towers.
Oh,
have you ever played Tricky Towers?
I haven't, but I've heard of it and I've seen videos of it and I want to get it.
I play it on Switch. It's another wonderful, wonderful multiplayer game. So the gist of it is it's like Tetris, but there are no walls on the side and there are actual physics like gravity and wind and stuff. And so there are 3 different modes. There's race, survival, and puzzle. And in race and survival, you just want to build your tower tall and fast. But sometimes there's wind, there's power-ups that you can either use to help yourself or ruin your friends. Like, they'll make your pieces be ice for a little bit, which makes them slide everywhere. Or they'll make them turn into, like, a piano or a cabinet, which is, like, a really awkward shape and makes it hard to stack puzzles on. Or for yourself, you can make your pieces, like, vine together so that they stick together better and they don't fall everywhere. It's just really fun to play. Our favorite mode is actually the puzzle mode, which is hard to describe. You start with a platform on the bottom, and there's a laser beam a few feet above, and you have to stack as many pieces as you can below the laser beam, and whoever stacks the most pieces in that little puzzle platform wins. That one's really fun because things get out of hand fast. You learn like advanced techniques that you share with your friends. It's just a really fun time. And I want to say, I'm really surprised that, let me look up real quick, the developers who made it, Weird Beard Games, Tricky Towers came out in 2016, but they're like if you go to their Twitter, I was like, what are these guys working on next? Because I want to see what they're working on next. They're still just all about Tricky Towers and sharing posts and making posts about Tricky Towers, and I'm like, dudes, like, make more games. You guys are talented. I was just surprised that 6 years later they haven't come out with anything else.
I need to get that done because I mean, I do love me some puzzle games, but yeah, like a physics-based Tetris, I'm surprised that hasn't been done before.
Yeah, it's fun.
So my next one, speaking of puzzles, just kidding. So the next one I have written down is I guess it's another one that like nobody talks about when you think of racing games, but Sonic and All Stars Racing Transform. Yeah, this one like whenever you talk about people's favorite racing games nowadays, it's always like Mario Kart or Forza.
Crash Team Racing.
There you go. Yep. But I guess this one was Sonic and Racing, whatever Transformed was released back on on the 360. So I mean, it's kind of old-ish, but it's backwards compatible now. But so yeah, it's basically kind of like Diddy Kong Racing, where like as you go through the track, your car will transform into different vehicles because there's like water segments, there's air segments, of course your land segments with your fucking car. But there's also like different Sega characters who like already have different specialties. But you can also mod their vehicles so that their vehicle is better at different things. Like with any car racer, I'm all about acceleration and handling. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I used. Do you remember Samba Amigo, the little monkey with the sombrero and maracas?
Of course.
Oh my gosh, he was my main in that game for sure. His car was like a little choo-choo train. Oh man, he was so badass. But yeah, there's other Sega characters like obviously Sonic, and there's like a little dwarf guy from Golden Axe.
Which one was this? Because there was a couple Sonic racing games.
Yeah, so it's called Sonic and All-Stars Racing Transformed.
Well, you're forgetting about Danica Patrick.
Oh yeah, that's right. Danica Patrick was there.
Actual NASCAR driver, Danica Patrick. I saw that on Twitter the other day, and I was like, "Is this real? She's driving."
Yeah, that was real.
Wow.
I remember specifically when you pick her before you play a race, the announcer would announce the announcer guy would pronounce her name as Danica Patrick.
Oh.
But I've only ever heard her name from like South Park. So I know it as Danica Patrick. But
her car in the game is called the Dana car.
Yeah.
She's not in the Japanese version of the game either.
Yeah. Oh man. Oh man. That was such a good game. I remember there was some like DLC for it which was done in like a goofy like different way. So like if you pre-ordered the game like I did, because I was cool back in that day, there was like a Metal Sonic there's a DLC where you get like Metal Sonic, and then you also got these different levels from the game Outrun. And then on Christmas of like whatever the hell year that came out, they unlocked Alex Kidd, and then there was one other one that I forget, but it was done in like a real odd manner. But no, yeah, that game. Yes, it's a Sega racing game. It's not Mario Kart or Forza, but it was really, really good. It played really well.
I just loved that game seemed to really embrace the Sega history, and had all those characters, like even the ones that you've never heard of. Is Kiryu in it?
I don't think so. No, I don't think so. No.
He's in Monkey Ball, but he's not in Sega Racing.
Oh yeah. I don't know why he wasn't. I guess I don't know what he would have driven. Maybe like a Lamborghini. I don't know what the hell he drives.
Yeah, he doesn't actually drive too much.
They had the guy from Shenmue, Ryu. They had him in there, and he drove a fucking forklift. That's cool.
Nice. That's good.
Yeah.
I have one more game on my list. It is.
This is where you're supposed to say, speaking of forklifts.
Yeah, that's not. There's no transition with forklifts into this. The best forklift in a video game is in Battlefield 3. Because you could drive the forklifts, and they moved so insanely slow. It became a meme where they had a trailer for the game that showed like 4 people climbing into a forklift and it driving really slowly through the battlefield, and then they threw some C4 on it and like jumped out of it, and it's still like coasting along, and then all 4 of them are just hitting the button over and over again to make it blow up. That was back when Battlefield was good.
Oh god. Oh, you're triggering my cold. So good.
Anyways, that's not my hidden gem, because Battlefield 3 is a treasure. My last game is The Unfinished Swan, which
I've never that.
you've never heard of it?
I don't think so.
Okay, it's made by the devs who made What Remains of Edith Finch. It was their first game that came out in 2012, and it's often forgotten because it was a PlayStation Network only game. It never had a physical release.
Ooh.
And
Okay.
yeah, and people obviously remember What Remains of Edith Finch more because it's a better game, I'll be honest. But The Unfinished Swan is incredible. It starts you off, the screen is just white, and it doesn't give you any information about anything. It's just a white screen. And eventually you figure out if you hit the right trigger, you throw a ball of black paint in front of you, and it hits and splatters and paints the environment around you. And that's how you traverse through the game. Is everything is invisible, and you have to throw balls of paint to paint your environment and
That's
everything
cool.
around you. And that's how you traverse it. So you have to like throw it at the ground, the walls. There's enemies too. Eventually, it evolves into something more. It's not paint the whole way through. Like eventually, there's a section where there are vines, and you have to throw water on the ground and walls to make the vines go up, and then you can climb the vines to get to different places. Or there's an area where you have to make a glowing orb travel with you, and you have to stay near it, or else you'll get eaten by monsters. But the main thing, most of it is that paint area, and it's just such a cool concept. That's all you do is throw the paintballs, and you like go through these castles, and you go through swamps and stuff, and you have to paint everything by throwing paint at it. It's a neat idea, and
It does sound pretty cool.
yeah, it's overshadowed by What Remains of Edith Finch, and I'm excited for whenever their next game comes out. They're working away on it, but I will definitely buy that day one.
I love how a good bunch of these are puzzle games, because hell yeah, why not?
Yeah, puzzle games are great.
Uh, so the last one I have is kind of like a newish one. But yeah, Arms on the Switch.
Arms!
Yeah. Nobody talks about that game. I mean, they had tournaments and stuff, but nobody ever talks about that game, and it's a shame because it was, for what it was really good. But yeah,
That came out 5 years ago! Almost to the day. June 16, 2017? Are you kidding? Where did
Yeah,
time go?
it was in that like year that the Switch came out, and like each month there was like one big Nintendo exclusive, and then Arms was the one for June. I remember like that game was just at the time, like when it first came out, I thought, oh, it's just Punch Out but with stretchy arms. But then it came out, and it was actually really really cool because you could different characters have their own different like mechanics to them. Like there was this one guy named Helix who's like made out of like goo, and you could hold certain buttons to make him like squish down to avoid an attack coming at him, or he could like bend his body in different ways to avoid attacks. There was this one named it was like Mr. Mummy or something like that, but like if while you were guarding he would regenerate health because he's a mummy. But yeah, then there were different like obviously you have two arms, so you get to equip like a different arm to each arm, if that makes sense.
Yep.
There was one called the Toaster, which was like when you charge it up, it'll start on fire, and if you hit an enemy with it, they'll take damage. There were also ones like there was these ones that were based on like birds that like when you throw a punch, the bird would like fly off your fist and kind of like curve at the enemy, and like it was super deep too because like it was more than just punch and hit your enemy. It was like read their movements and like depending on where you think they're gonna go, throw your punch, maybe arc it a little bit, or like maybe grab your enemy and then beat the shit out of them with your special thing. And then they had quite a bit of DLC that added like more characters and stuff and added more arms and stuff. And I'm pretty sure all the DLC was free because I don't remember like paying for any kind of like season pass or whatever. But yeah, I mean, if you like fighting games and you have a Switch, it's actually pretty damn good. Like I still play it every now and again to this day.
I played the demo when it came out, and I was really impressed with a couple of things. Um, One was how it kind of had an almost rock paper scissors like way to it. Like there was
Yeah,
punching, grabbing, and blocking, and punching
exactly.
beat
Yep.
grabbing but didn't beat blocking. Blocking beat punches but didn't beat grabbing, and so you had to keep that in mind. And the other thing I loved was the curving of the punches. It was motion based, so you would actually do the punching, but you would like after throwing your punch, you could tilt the controller to make your arm curve in different ways as it was going, and that felt really good. That's something that
Yeah,
is literally not in any other fighting game.
and like, and I enjoy like the different abilities that each character have too, because it makes like other fighting games. It's like, oh, this guy just has like different punches that hit at different levels, but like each character actually had different strengths and or weaknesses to them, and it was such a neat game. Like it's really surprising that it didn't take off, but I mean, Smash Bros probably took
Yeah,
over the whole
yeah.
whatever esport Nintendo has, but no, ARMS is so good.
I could see them maybe making a sequel. It sold over 2 million copies, which is where did I see that? It's more than Mario Golf, more than Xenoblade Chronicles 2, more than Pikmin 3, more than Mario and Rabbids Kingdom Battle, and they're making a sequel to that. So
No shit.
I could see them making one.
They should. That'd be cool. Yeah, I mean, it's wild how Nintendo is just so great at just uh not only shitting out like new ideas for different IPs, but also like making them good because like any copy can or any company can just dump out a new franchise and be like, "Yep, this is it," and then just not refine it or do anything to it, and it's just with the game Recore for Xbox One.
Oh
It was
wow.
supposed to be this awesome new epic IP, but they just didn't put any time into it. But uh, no, ARMS has like so much thought and polish put into it. It's unreal that it was just so good for a brand new IP on this brand new Nintendo console.
Nintendo doesn't get enough credit for experimenting with genres. Like
Yeah,
like Nintendo games have a certain feel to them that no one else can match, and the way that they put that in different genres is so incredible. Like Splatoon, it's a online shooter made by Nintendo, and you play it, and you're like, yeah, that's they nailed it. That's exactly what this is.
and there's like each of their games like it kind of feels simple, but there's a lot of depth. Like if you remember like Super Mario Odyssey, you know it's just a 3D platformer at first glance, but there's just so much depth to the different like moves that you can do with Mario. Like you could skip entire
Oh
parts of
my
levels if you
gosh,
wanted
yeah.
to, as long as you could just chain together the right moves. And um, same goes with with Splatoon because there's different ways to to build your character with like different pieces of clothing that boost different stats and shit. But um, it's also I guess why I usually end up playing on the Switch more than anything else is because like I kind of feel like Sony is all about like third person adventure games,
Yep.
which is fine. Like that's fine. And then Xbox is mostly about racing and shooting, but yeah, Nintendo just they have a lot of variety that I really enjoy because like I kind of get burnt out on 3D adventure games, and sometimes I just want a fucking Kirby game that I can just suck up an enemy and then walk off an edge or something.
Here's a fun trivia question for you. What
Okay,
is the number one selling Switch game that is not made by Nintendo or the Pokemon Company?
I feel like I know this.
I'll give you a hint. The top 29 games are made by Nintendo or the Pokemon Company, or there's one that was only released in Japan.
Is that the one that's
No,
is
that's
that the
not the
one
one.
that's like
No, no, that's not the one you have to guess.
oh man, I thought I knew it, but I don't. What's the answer?
It is Among Us. Three 3.2
God,
million
dude.
copies. The 30th highest selling Switch game.
Of course it is. It's only like $5. Oh man, how did I not know that?
right after, just behind is Minecraft, which makes sense. But how crazy is it that the top 29 games are all Nintendo? Oh, there's a Capcom. Monster Hunter Rise. Sorry, Monster Hunter Rise is 17.
Yeah, I guess that doesn't surprise me then. And my God, how long? Minecraft has been around for so freaking long too, and they keep getting out updates for that too. That also blows.
But that's all the hidden gems in the history of video games. Every other game was popular or sucks.
That's true. Yep. Don't even bring your goddamn Uncharted's in here. I don't care.
We get
Sorry,
it.
Uncharted
Skyrim's good. I love your hatred towards Uncharted. I know that's not something we talked about on the podcast, but you just hate how popular Uncharted is.
Like, it's just Indiana Jones.
You don't think it deserves it.
Like, it's just Indiana Jones. I mean, I could see how we'll talk about that another time.
Yeah, I'd actually love to discuss the Uncharted series because I have thoughts on it too. But that's for another time. Anything else you want to say about hidden gems?
No, that was it. I mean, definitely check out those games, and you can email us if you have any more recommendations or something that you feel like we should check out. But no, I'm good.
Yeah, or follow on Twitter because I am tweeting like fire. My tweets over the last few days have been really good, and no one cares, and it's really frustrating.
For real, yes. Please, even if you don't use Twitter, at least follow us and interact with us.
Yeah. So I guess it's time for me to tell you what next week's episode is going to be about.
I'm shaking with anticipation. I really want to know what it is.
I've been like you. I've been bouncing around on a couple different topics, and I'm gonna do another maybe out of the box one. I want to talk to you about the history and our favorites and our least favorite video game controllers. I want us to go through all of them and just talk about controllers. Because I have my favorites, I have my most hated, and I would love to compare and contrast those with you.
Oh, that's good. That's a good one for sure. I have a lot of thoughts on controllers. Hell yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Otherwise, I guess that's the end of the show. Am I forgetting anything?
No, that's it.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it, yeah.
Okay, well then, goodbye, listeners. Thank you for listening. Bye.
Goodbye.